Good morning, Grace Community Chapel family. Happy to be here with you today. I'm just noticing that my stream is pretty fuzzy today, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. So I apologize in advance for the issues, but I will try to see if I can figure out what that is and get it fixed for tomorrow. But today we are going to be beginning the Psalm 119, and we're going to go through the entire trope for Psalm 119, and we'll go through all of the stanzas, all 22 strophes, and all 176 verses over the course of the next couple of days. Probably going to try to get this concluded by Friday. We'll see how that works. But let me give you some explanation here before we get started. So the poem of Psalm 119 is the longest poem in the Psalms. It is the longest chapter in the scriptures. And the purpose of the psalm is really to give an ode to the law. What we're going to see is there's 22 strophes. Strophes are structural divisions of the psalm, and basically they're containing stanzas of varying lengths, and they deal with a particular subject or a particular mannerism. And what's interesting is the 22 strophes that are listed in the psalm, there is one for every letter of the Hebrew alphabet, which is why in a lot of your Bibles you'll see that right off the top here you have this word Alf here. I know that's not Alf the alien from that TV show. That's the Alf, the Hebrew word, the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, or Aleph, depending on how you pronounce it. So we look at it here specifically. So the first 8 lines of Psalm 119 all follow and start with the letter Aleph. And I will show you that here in a moment. And then if you'll notice here, right around verse 9, we see this switch to Be'eth. And this is the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it continues on. So each of the Hebrew letters of the alphabet are included in the psalm, and each Hebrew alphabet letter is used to extol the wonderful nature and the perfection of God's law, and for those who follow it. And I want you to see how this looks in Hebrew, because I think it's actually valuable to see. So this is in Hebrew, the Psalm 119. This is the Lexham Hebrew Bible. And I cannot read Hebrew, so I cannot help you decipher this. But what I can tell you is that the letter that is in the far right-hand corner here, remember Hebrew, if you know, you read right to left, not left to right. You read right to left. And so this first letter you can see at the beginning of every single stanza is the letter Aleph. And so you have this here for the first 8 verses. And then at verse 9, you have the Be'ez. And you'll notice that there's some pronunciation differences underneath of it because it's going to be included in different words. That's part of the key. But the letter is the same throughout. And that is the way all the way through the entire psalm. That every time you have a transition, you have a transition to a new letter. And the psalmist uses that new letter to start their stanzas and their sayings regarding the law of the Lord. And that's done all the way through the entire Psalm 119 in Hebrew. Now, it's really ultimately to form an acrostic to underscore the completeness of the celebration of the Lord's Torah and the perfection of the Torah, ultimately culminating in what's seen in 119.96. We'll see that later. And that's Mark D. Flontato that says that in his commentary in the Book of Psalms. Cornerstone Biblical Commentary, if you're curious. Something else I want you to notice is that Psalm 119 is actually considered part of a Torah Psalms. And what's interesting is many people argue that David wrote this one because they argue that David wrote the other 2 Torah Psalms as well. The other 2 would be Psalm chapter 1, verse 1 through whatever, the whole psalm there, the first psalm we've already read. That one's argued to be the first Torah Psalm. And it deals with very similar things that we're going to see in 119. And the second one is arguably the one that we just read yesterday, Psalm 19. And so there is this element of Psalm 1, Psalm 19, and Psalm 119 are all these Torah psalms, and that's probably done intentionally by the one who compiled these psalms into one book, or 5 books according to the Hebrew Bible. And so all of them deal with the Tanakh, which is the word you now see on your screen. The Tanakh, translated, is direction or instruction or law. And so it's used all the time for the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, oftentimes referred to as the Tanakh, but in Greek it would be referred to as the Pentateuch, which is the first 5 books. The Tanakh and Pentateuch are oftentimes used interchangeably, although oftentimes Genesis is not included in the Tanakh as it's more of a history. So that is what I wanted you to know before we start getting into Psalm 119. Now, what we're going to do today is I'm going to read through these 40 verses, and I just want you to listen to what is said. And I want you to meditate on what is said. And there is a lot here to meditate on. So I want you to hear it, and we're not going to do a whole lot of commentary on it. I just want you to listen. So Psalm 119, starting in verse 1. Blessed are those whose way is blameless, who walk in the law of the Lord. Blessed are those who keep his testimonies, who seek him with their whole heart, who also do no wrong, but walk in his ways. You have commanded your precepts to be kept diligently. Oh, that my ways may be steadfast in keeping your statutes. Then I shall not be put to shame, having my eyes fixed on all your commandments. I will praise you with an upright heart when I learn of your righteous rules. I will keep your statutes. Do not utterly forsake me. But how can a young man keep his way pure? By guarding it according to your word. With my whole heart I seek you. Let me not wander from your commandments. I have stored up your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. Blessed are you, O Lord. Teach me your statutes. With my lips I declare all the rules of your mouth. In the way of your testimonies I delight as much in all riches. I will meditate on your precepts and fix my eyes on your ways. I will delight in your statutes, and I will not forget your word. Gimel. Deal bountifully with your servant, that I may live and keep your word. Open my eyes that I might behold the wondrous things out of your law. I am a sojourner on the earth. Hide not your commandments from me. My soul is consumed with longing for your rules at all times. You rebuke the insolent, accursed ones who wander from your commandments. Take away from me the scorn and contempt, for I have kept your testimonies. Even though princes sit plotting against me, your servant will meditate on your statutes. Your testimonies are my delight. They are my counselors. Dalelf. My soul clings to the dust. You give me life according to your word. When I told of my ways, you answered me. Teach me your statutes. Make me understand the ways of your precepts, and I will meditate on your wondrous works. My soul melts away for sorrow. Strengthen me in accordance with your word. Put false ways far from me, and graciously teach me your law. I have chosen the way of faithfulness. I have set your rules before me. I cling to your testimonies, O Lord. Let me be not put to shame. I will run in the way of your commandments when you enlarge my heart. Hell. Teach me, O Lord, the way of your statutes, and I will keep it to the end. Give me understanding that I might keep your law and observe it with my whole heart. Lead me in the path of your commandments, for I delight in it. Incline my heart to your testimonies and not to selfish gain. Turn my eyes from looking at worthless things and give me life in your ways. Confirm to your servant your promise that you may be feared. Turn away the reproach that I dread, for your rules are good. Behold, I long for your precepts. In your righteousness, give me life. The observation that I want you to walk away with in what we saw and heard in Psalm 119 is the desire of the psalmist, again, possibly David, to have the Lord lead him in all of these things. Something you're going to notice throughout the entire Psalm 119 as we go down through it is that the psalmist continues to plead to the Lord, not that he might know what God's will is, but that God might teach him the law, that God might teach him what is right, that God might teach him understanding, that God might turn him away from that which is worthless. that he might be conformed to God's image, that he might be the way that God would desire him to be. He asks for him to give him understanding, asks him to give him the knowledge, the truth, the eyes to see, all of those things that he asks him to do. Those are the things that we should be asking the Lord to do in our lives. And as we come to the scriptures and as we seek to understand who God is and how we are to act in this world, we should be coming and pleading with God. God, please, as I come to read, as I come to understand, please bring this to me. Help me to understand. Help me to see. And not only help me to see and know, but also help me to keep what I read and do what I read. That is what I've been thinking about in reflection of Psalm 119. Spend some time reflecting on it today. Maybe open up your own Bible, read it a little bit. Take a look at those first 40 verses and come away with a couple observations. Might be worth your time. Well, shorter one today than normal, but I'm glad for it. And looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow as we continue in Psalm 119. God bless you all. Have a great rest of your Tuesday and stay safe with the snow.